I think it's working. Am I going to change this one? All right. I'm starting my 20 sub stream. All right. All right. Here I am. I have prepared nothing almost, but I have to say I don't know that anyone will be here. I'm putting this on there, and there we go. There's chats, there's comments, live viewer comments. Excellent. Excellent. If anybody happens to watch, then they will come and see this. And so I now have over 20 subs, and I have provided them with little to nothing to think about or enjoy. I think that is the light is better that way. I'm not 100% sure, but let's try that. All right, so it's always better if somebody joins in, but on my own, I guess I can only say what I can say. So I've been participating in a number of things that people have been doing recently, and I've been enjoying hearing people's views on a whole bunch of different topics. And today I'm going to touch on something very briefly, but I'm not going to add too much to this because I'm not in a good place to discuss it or back it up. But today is a day where we are having a recognition of truth and reconciliation for Native people in Canada who have been, as a whole, treated very poorly in our society, and that isn't cool. And in addition to that, we found out, I think, a short number of years ago, that our governments and churches and schools and whatnot were running residential schools that I think we knew they existed. I don't think any of us knew, and certainly I didn't know how bad people were treated in them. And so I want to take a moment to say that a lot of people were ripped apart from their families. A lot of people were removed forcibly or coercively from their homes. And some of them never got to go home to their families. And maybe people thought they were doing a good thing, but they weren't. There are a few situations where someone's home life might be terrible and they may be better off being removed from it. But by and large, that isn't the case. And it certainly isn't the case just because someone happens to have been born into a different culture than the one of a majority population in a place. And it does seem particularly egregious that the majority population in this case was the one that found a place inhabited by, disparate group of many Native peoples. And they kind of ran over it pretty damn hard. And those people are definitely ancestors of mine one way or another. I have no firsthand knowledge that any of them were directly related to me. I have no knowledge that they weren't. That doesn't really matter. What matters is that these people were treated poorly and still are today. It's a pretty shitty situation. And so for me to deal with the shitty situations I find myself in sometimes and not recognize that other people also uh, live in them and exist in them would just be wrong for me to do. Um, so for that reason, I'm going to just let people think about that. Basically, I'm going to post the link in here. If anybody um, wants to join, they can. And I don't have a whole lot more to put on what was being discussed there, what I was talking about, because I really just don't have enough knowledge of it to speak intelligently on it. But I would definitely like to do a show where um, I share, the knowledge that someone else has. And I think I had a couple of people that were of Native ancestry talk to me recently, and maybe they'll come and join me again. So yeah, that's where things are at. I'm going to just see what's going on here. Oh, you know what? I know what's going on. Nobody's going to join me because there's other stuff going on with people that people are more interested in. So I might shelve this conversation for now. I think it'll be a better idea. I'm going to leave this. I'll leave this up there, but maybe I'll retitle it. I think that's what I should do. So that's it. I'm just going to say that I think that's as good as it's going to get for now. I'll do a better stream at another time. But, I think we all need to sit back and talk to ourselves and with each other and think about what's going on. Oh, hey, Dr. Top, there you are. You're congratulating me. Thank you. I was just going to give up on the whole stream. But I don't know whether I should or not. But the thing I want people to do is to really think about who's out there in the world, who they're talking to, what they're talking to them about, and whether they're saying things that are helpful, and whether they're doing things that are helpful. If they don't know what is helpful, what can that be? Oh, fuck. Coming from a Flurf stream. Geez, Dr. Tap, I don't want to have a serious conversation at all. I was just starting with seriousness. But yeah, you can't stop by right now. That's totally fine. I'm actually just going to cancel this and then go look at something else and do this again later because that's it. That's it. So maybe you'll join me at another time. I don't know when. Today, tomorrow, something. I haven't figured it out yet. But yeah, I don't want to have serious conversations. I had a serious start. Strive to make the world a better place than it would have been without you. What the fuck? Right after BSS. Right after Bad Science Sunday. Holy shit. Dr. Tap, do you know what time it is here? I'd have to do that show on my way to work in the morning. But yeah. I'm definitely going to watch as much of that as I can. But I think I have a 5 o'clock start on Monday morning. So that's not going to be good. But yeah, you should move to the Eastern time zone. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it is what it is, man. But yeah, no, you know what? I saw when I shortly after I started, I got notifications that other people I know are doing stuff like other streams. So I'm like, why did I pick now? But I also wanted to say what I wanted to say. But yeah, I think And the good news is I'm going to be on some other people's streams in the next few weeks. But yeah, there you go. Well, it's great to have somebody stop by and say hello. Oh, Carrie Ann is here. Thank you. You are watching that. See, that's what we should be watching. We should be watching this. Everyone should go and watch whatever that is. Hide show. Here it is. Whatever this is. I don't know what that is. And if I do, I don't know how that works. I don't know how to grab that from here because I just don't know how. I don't know. I'll figure it out. Yeah, you were at Neil the Atheist channel. Yeah, see, and Neil and I talked, and we're gonna do that. And there's a modern day debate. Oh Jesus, what's modern day debates talking about? Is it a flurf? Is it a fucking flurf? I think I saw. Yeah, I'm gonna go on Neil's show. Flurf. Yeah. Fuck Dr. Tap. You're fucking you've got it's amazing. You got all those brain cells in there, but they're like covered in a cast iron pan because otherwise it would all fall out. I think I saw that fucking Witless Word Salad was doing one. I got that earlier in my thing. I don't know who this guy is. Yeah, so I think I'm going on Neil's show, like on I don't know. I agreed to something with him. Jesus, yeah. Yeah. Here, Neil. Yeah, okay. So it looks like I had a chat with Neil. I don't know how to do this. If I go to that, okay. I don't know how this works. That's not how that works. Okay. I don't know. We talked over Twitter, which is not something I usually do. So let me see. He said we could have a meaningful conversation. And I said, I don't know why he thinks that. But anyway, he said that. And he said that we're okay. Oh, so I think maybe it's going to be on like the 21st. That's it. It's going to be on the 21st. The last physics show I saw was jumping up and down. I was jumping up and down. What is SH? What is SH? Dr. T. Oh, Skeptic Haven. Okay, see, I'm missing all this stuff here. Okay. Yes, see, Dr. Tat. Yes, you should go on that. Yeah, you do jump up and down sometimes. I don't know how to talk to Carrie Ann. But yeah, the physics show you were on Dr. T on it, but not in it. Are you on? Yeah, well, see, I was kind of hoping it was going to be a place where Teen Titans Go was, but apparently not. Okay. So yeah, no, you, Dr. Top, you're an animated fellow. What are you going to do? Internet has not been loading. Yeah, Discord is all over the place. No, yeah, because I tried to send my channel to like 2 people, and I sent it to like everyone I know on Discord, which is not many people, thankfully. But yeah, so anyway, you're hyper guy. Yeah, I don't. Well, you know what? Like when you're doing the Flurf stuff, but man, what I gotta find out what the fuck what's it word salad is up to. Like I'm kind of like I'm just curious as hell what he's doing. Got it and clear it. All right. Anyway, yeah. Um, okay. That's a good idea. Carrie Ann, you know everybody in this whole system, right? I don't know how. I don't know how some of you folks, not that anybody's watching this, but some of you folks are going to watch this. And most of them are probably just going to run by this. But here's the thing. Uh, I just want to have a good time wherever I go. But Carrie Ann, you know, like you're on everybody's channel in the whole place, and for some reason, Maya and Doctor Tap are like, you and PC, you're everywhere almost, but for some reason, Maya and Doctor Tapioca Weasel are in absolutely every chat I go into, no matter what happens, except for one, and I don't know why that is. And that one is the one where I'm, for some reason, a regular recurring gift. Gift. I'm not a gift. I'm a guest, and I don't know why. I don't know why they put me on there, but I think I wanted to be on it more than anything because I like listening to the weird shit they talked about, but I could never participate in messaging them back because it was always when I'm on the road. I have the best case of a god existing. Yeah, well, I have a rift in the space time continuum that maybe because of my extra large mass or something, I'm not sure, relative to other humans. But no, I have no idea why this is, and I shouldn't poke fun at myself for my gravitational pull, but I do seem to have this like now I think Dr. Tap and Maya are just good friends and they have all the same stuff they want to go to. But yeah. No, you split. Thanks, Dr. T. Great to see you here. And you go and I don't know. I might watch some of that Flurf debate. I may listen to it later. I don't know. Haven't decided. But yeah, enjoy. Enjoy. And Carrie Ann, you don't have to stay here because yeah, I think I don't think anybody's going to come watch this, and not that you're not anybody. You and Dr. Tap are pretty cool, and great supporters of this. I think I got to do something else, right? There we go. But yeah, seeing, yeah, Maya and Dr. Tap are like everywhere I go, so that's pretty cool. Oh, yeah, is Neil doing that? The call in? Yeah, I don't know what you talk. I don't know what you say in a thing like that. But I was on talking to Stephanie forever last night. You were there, right? I think you were there. I can't remember. It was so late at night. I had no idea what was going on. I saw Dr. Top come in, but I never heard him say anything. That's not true. He did say a couple of things, but I can't. I can't. Yeah. Okay, so I did see you. I did see you. Yeah. Okay, so I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong. Okay. Yeah. Well. Yeah. But life's been crazy for me the last week, but good. It's been really good. So I guess I should do like a real show and do a thing about this. But and I don't know whether I want to like completely dox myself as more than I already have. But my what do you call it? The paper I was co-author on got published, and we found out that it got published this week. So that was pretty cool. So I talked to a few people about that. Yeah, I will share more about that. But basically, we did a study. We did a study where we did a lot of prep work to figure out what we could ask people, what we needed to ask people in order to get a good sense of what's going on, and then we did a lot of data analysis after, and we hired a third party company that does surveys. Pretty serious one, not like one of those online things, but yeah, no, I can share the whole thing because I'm allowed to share it. It's more a matter of how much of my personal details I should share. Because once I share that, then I'm totally out there. Although I don't think anybody cares. I mean, the people I make the most mad are the people that don't believe in God and are upset with me for not, or not accepting what they believe. I mean, I'm open to it. I've never seen any evidence, but I am open to it. I think a lot of atheists are. I think, a lot of it just doesn't make sense. And it's, because so many religions actually treat people really shittily, I think people end up coming out with a really shitty opinion of them. And it might not be fair. Because a lot of things just aren't fair in life. And, that's just the way it is. And I now realize what it is about. My system here that allows me not to sound good. What makes me not sound good is this: I do not let myself speak at my full volume when I'm here, because everybody says I'm too loud as it is. But everybody tells me I'm way too loud. But they also tell me my voice sounds great. I know what it is. I'm trying to rein my voice in. So whatever my voice sounds like here isn't what my voice actually sounds like. I just gotta get the whole house to disappear. And then nobody will care. And I can see if anybody actually gives a shit anyway, but I don't think they do. So anyway, I guess I should wrap this up, because I got 20 subs and 2 of them came to watch what's going on, which is pretty exciting stuff. And yes, I will be on Neil's program theoretically, if everything gets sorted out, on or about the I think the 21st of October. I'm pretty sure. I'll have to double check that. It's coming up. 90% sure all religions are human. Yes, we don't have to go. Okay, 90% sure. I'm going to put this up there, because if anybody watches this later, they'll wonder what the hell I'm responding to if they're not the kind to rewatch that. October 21st. Yeah, I believe so. All religions, reactions, experiences are human activities. I point to, because we don't have the technology. Okay, so I think what you're saying, Carrie, you should just come on the damn show. But I know you said if you come on anything that you get derailed. Maybe you don't get derailed now. If you come on, I put the thing in, but maybe it wasn't there. Maybe it's not still there. But yeah. So yeah, I think that's right. I think in all likelihood, most of the things that people experience are either just parts of the human psyche that just exist and are that way. And some of them are ones that religious organizations know about and are taught to react to in a certain way or skew in a certain way. And then the other interesting thing, and I've heard this presented over and over again, is people with near-death experiences all tend to report something that keeps very closely in line with the expectations of the culture they're in. So if they interview people in a country where a prominent religion is A rather than B, they get a different answer. Knowing migrate, yeah, like the way birds will migrate, following stuff or whatever. We created God to point to human quality. Yeah, I think that might be true. I think like a lot of organized religions, you can see and understand very easily that they're used to control people, to subjugate, control, and not very evenly control either, but it does seem to be invented to control pretty much everyone. And I think what's really interesting, and this might be something that was very strictly my own experience, because I don't think maybe the large majority of people my age read this, but I read and I read fairly extensively from Alexandre Dumas, who's a French author who also is reputed to have stolen a lot of his work from his assistant, and maybe more than one. And I think at least one of them was female, if I remember correctly. I have to look that up, but kind of unrelated to the point, which is that he wrote about the history of in like some sort of a serial um, publication. He wrote these stories about the Three Musketeers, about D'Artagnan, who was one of the Musketeers, but not the other three, and their exploits. And he wrote a bunch of other stories too. But people liked reading the stories he wrote. And the era he wrote about was interesting because it had the French aristocracy and the French Catholic Church all had their own sets of the musketeers, the fighters, the ones that fought for them. It seems interesting that the church needed its own set of guards. So the cardinal had that, right? Connect. Okay, you have theories about connections on a molecular level universally, but doubts about any conscious control of it. Okay, well, this is something that maybe Dr. Tapp will watch this again and make some comments in the regular commentary. Well, usually the science stuff I bring up, he says I'm totally off on, and I don't know if your theories are. I'm assuming you mean hypotheses that haven't yet been tested, but clarify it for sure. So, on a molecular level, we do know about quantum tunneling. So there are some known connections that happen at a very small level. The building of matter, yeah. So what I find interesting when I look at this stuff, and I can't deal with it mathematically yet, I'm thinking of learning it or relearning what I used to know and adding to it so I can follow it better. But when I see visual representations of it, and when I think back to what I know in chemistry, the interesting thing about the way matter bonds, the connectivity, how it conglomerates. So my recollection of both chemistry and physics, but chemistry mostly talked about stuff at an atomic level. We talked very briefly on subatomics, but mostly at an atomic level, where available electrons for bonding will allow the connection of certain things and certain types of elements. If you start with them in their atomic state, which is hard to, making matter in molecules is a lot easier than making base elements. So base elements kind of are the way you have them. They don't arrange themselves in nature outside of certain situations, but they do react with one another. They create and recreate different types of molecular structure. And so I guess if you wanted to think about that, I mean, you could put the name God on that. I guess that's maybe what you'd say is like that's part of the design. I'm willing to accept that you could name it that, but the fact that those physical rules, the way you get bonding of that's how we know perfection is an ideal, not a possibility, therefore not bad. Okay, well, see, that's the interesting thing is, like, you could say there's perfection, you could say there isn't, but just the fact that there are extra free electrons on some what do you call it, radioactive isotopes. Like there's some isotopes of different elements arrange themselves differently, so they don't follow perfectly. There's abnormalities, there's anomalies, there are things that aren't perfect. So, and then the question would also come as to, if you can't strip something down to a really basic level, like without the plasma state of matter that we have in suns and other really super dense arrangements of matter, and we don't even know the full explanation of ones from which we never see photons emanate. The stuff they refer to as dark matter, like we have very little to go on. Things that light interacts with that we can see allow us to use spectroscopy to actually identify which elements and molecules are there, because light is either produced by them or reflects off of them and makes it to equipment we can see it with. And then other things that we can see and detect are electromagnetic radiations that are non-visible but still travel. Everything in nature seems to have a circular cycles. Okay, well that's, you separate life and death, but they're just stages in the same circle. Yeah, I know. I think people often poetically will talk about the circle of life, and I mean without getting into like Disney songs and stuff like that, but literally we come from the earth. You know, they have all the creatures on the ground, on the mind. I'm still uncertain as to what it's all about. Yeah, no, I think it's hard to um put the entire universe at its size and its arrangement. And I often, if I'm driving down the road and I have some free moments to think, I think about ways I could visually represent my understandings so that I could have somebody really smart tell me how wrong I am. But I try to put them in words. I try to put them visually. And when you think about the depth of everything that exists, we have all these extremely base building blocks of matter, and you can divide atoms down. There's the proton and the nuclei, and the electrons, and the electrons they're all basically the same as far as I know, but in different arrangements they behave differently. They actually don't orbit the way we represent them visually, but when you look at the visual likelihoods, right, like because they all follow probability, you actually see them. They build different shapes, and I find that very interesting. Is that the way the nucleus of a cell, not a cell, like the nucleus of an atom is shaped, how many protons, the whole center of it, and the way electrons sit on the outside affects how the element is put together. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm gonna come to that in a second, but I'm just gonna say I sometimes think of like the things people say to be super poetic about the universe, and they say like if you took every grain of sand on the earth, you would have not enough grains of sand on the earth to actually account for every star in the sky, and that the stars in the sky are not even all the ones you can see are not all the ones that there are. And I think they're talking about pre-light pollution to the point where we can't look up and see it, but we can with our bare eyes can only see so much, right? And yeah, the perception of a soul, though I pretty much don't believe in souls at this point. But the concept of a self, yeah, that is a tough thing to discuss and to understand, because I think once we become aware of ourselves at some point, we have to actually ask ourselves something that I think, is something I think about a lot, is once you know that you are yourself, you cannot live outside your own mind, right? You can't, no matter how hard you try, you cannot see the world from a different set of eyes. You can certainly find empathy and understanding in what others face, and I find myself doing things I should not do, which is I see someone else that I think maybe I share a burden with for whatever reason. And I think to myself, okay, perhaps I understand this person better than another because we share a trait. But the fact of the matter is that apart from being human, I have no idea whether that's true. And that the sheer number of different combinations of experiences a person can have moment to moment in their life from the cradle to the grave, as they say, is literally almost infinite. I'm sure someone with a big enough computer could actually do that, but it's almost impossible to think. Imagine create as close a concept of another, because humans are creative. No, that's a good point, Carrie. So yeah, I think we can, but there's certain things that become almost impossible to put yourself in the shoes of another. But human experiences, as different as they are, and as the combinations of each one are as different as they can be, I think it's also quite true that we can manufacture in our heads a pretty good concept of what it is that another person experiences, because there seems to be a pretty decent amount of I'm going to call it uniform human emotions and human thoughts and concepts and things that we understand. So we don't all speak the exact same language or live in the same culture, but a lot of things are pretty repetitive. A lot of things are pretty similar. So demonizing atheists, yeah, certainly, yeah. I mean, I'm not sure that I'm not a demon, but I think that a lot of times comes from the idea that it's someone to be an other. The person's an other that makes them someone to be feared. I guess maybe the thing is, like, people that are selling religion as a job, you have to make sure that you never end up with someone showing you that there's another product available from another seller, right? And even though, I don't know, I mean, if you can make money as an atheist, that's awesome, but like, I don't think most people do. I suppose there might be like a small number of people, but yeah, they imagine it, and so that is what they accept us as. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right, Carrie. That's absolutely right. That once you present it as such, right? Once you show that that's what it's all about, then that's exactly what it's going to be, right? You can't get away from that, right? You can't actually say, okay, I'm not this because I'm just not. But then, you say, okay, well, I'm not a demon. I don't even believe in demons because, as an atheist, I don't believe in angels. I don't believe in gods. I don't believe in any sort of deity. I don't believe in a creator of the universe. I don't give personal agency to something that got that ball rolling. And I'm wondering if I'm fuzzy because my glasses are dirty, or if it's because the camera is messed up. I don't think that's fixing anything. But yeah, no, an imagined reality is almost more powerful than an actual reality, because if you actually meet people, if you actually get to know people and understand them, you start to find out that all the things you were told about them are wrong, right? I mean, how many people have said that? How many people have said, I was always told this type of person is like this. And then when I met one for myself, I was like, oh my God, how did I get this so wrong? But I guess that's the thing is we just can't get beyond that. If we don't experience it, we can't move past that mistrust. The organized chaos of the universe needs control. It can't be controlled. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've said this before on my channel and others. Someone asked me what the purpose of life is. I'm like, I'm delivering this rock for as long as I can. It might be a bit of a relay thing, but I'm delivering it. That's what I do. And I've never even looked up to see where we're going. I know it's pretty far. I don't think I'm going to be the one who has to jump out of the cab and get the paperwork signed. So I haven't worried about it too much. I got it in 18 high, 8 high and 18 gears. I got it in 8 high and I'm just going, I can't always keep it in cruise control, right? Survive, not serve. Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, like if I survive, my kids survive, my grandkids survive, we all keep surviving. I mean, there's still going to be someone to bring the rock where it's going, right? But yeah, I was having some conversations with this guy on Ember's channel, like just in the comments section, and as Maya said, I don't know if she understood what I was saying in response to. She says the comment sections are always just nonsense. It's like, yes, they are, but I said except for your comment section on her channel, because there's actually some good conversations often on hers that this kind of nonsense I really enjoy. But sometimes I just let it go, and then other times I see someone saying something that doesn't make sense. And actually started out replying to a different person. What I was replying to was someone indicating that Ember, in his work. Oh, you had one from Ember's too. Yeah, I guess I should look and see which one that was on. But yeah, so the first person made a comment saying, snarkily, I took it as, now maybe that they were praising Ember. I didn't get that impression. I got the impression they were suggesting that Ember was using, oh yeah, I had more than 12, I think, but yes, I had a whole bunch back and forth. Maybe it's the same guy. I don't know. I should look it up. I think I will look it up. But while I'm doing that, I'll just say, hey, it's interesting, because I'm sure if I just look up comments in general, that's what I'm going to see, right? It'll be the same ones. No, that was from this guy's name is Tom Murphy, spelled in a way I'm not familiar with. The guy says he's from Missouri. But yeah, there was 55 replies on this one. This was from Ember's show, Creationist Biologist Liar. It was about Nathaniel Jeanson. And so a different person named Todd Jones, with only one O, 6571, says, yes, resort to attacking the person. Don't ever discuss the details and beliefs. Well, in fact, there was very, very little, if any, calling into question Nathaniel Jeanson as a person. Now, as a person, Jeanson's he's a liar. I don't want to call him anything beyond that. He's a liar, because he has to be. The Bible wasn't vile. Oh shit. I mean, there you go. I mean, we could go on. We could go on for hours, or not weeks, about that. I mean, it's such a small book with so little good to take out of it. But you start going on the bad, man. Man, oh man. Well, Carrie, yeah, and I think Carrie, you're far more versed in it than I am. But yeah, this guy. I mean, I don't even know what the guy's saying, right? This guy just starts going off about stuff, right? This Todd guy started out with a couple of things, and he's like, and I said, I watched it, the bald beard guy video. I am the bald beard guy, look at me here. What else would I be? I think I got to take my glasses off. They're making me see funny because they're bald beard guy. Yeah, no, I don't think that's the one. No, that guy. That guy.
Suddenly, we have all this new evidence.
Yeah, no, this is a different guy, because this was from 6 days ago. But the other guy that was there, and maybe Carrie, you'll clarify whether it was the conversation you were having in a live chat or in the after chat, because I had some live chat conversation on that one, but I was working, but just waiting for something. I think that was on Friday, I think, and I had a long wait, so I was just sitting there, right? And sometimes if I do that, I can actually put it. 9 hours ago, he had this guy, the Bishop guy. I don't know. I'll have to check that out. But anyway, this is Nathaniel Jeanson. Is just he's a guy in a jacket and a sweater vest or something. I don't know. Talking 10 years ago on a stage somewhere to a preaching to the choir, literally. I think the bald beard guy might be the guy he was talking to on Thursday or Friday. But I got tied up waiting a couple of times this week, and I had a chance to chat. I think it was Thursday. Anyway, this guy's saying, this other guy jumps in, Tom Murphy, with bullshit. Like when you throw, like saying to me, you throw something in another's face, at least get the quote correct. Only God can make a tree. Case you want to take another shot. Now, I guess that was a reply to me saying, what did I say? I guess I just read it here. I'm too busy making a living for my family to worry about what you consider wisdom. In my time, I do what I can to better the world for my children, to enjoy the relationships I've made on this amazing planet, and I do what I can to dissuade people from sending hard-earned cash to snake oil salespeople who pretend to speak for the all-powerful deity who created the entire universe from scratch, but totally forgot to give themselves any liquid currency of various forms from around a small, insignificant planet inhabited by a trove of flora and fauna, but still mostly harmless. Couple of references in there. Maybe people get it or maybe they don't. Oh shit, someone tried your interest proves God. Holy fuck. Your dedication to creating a better human existence. Yeah, no, that's terrible. But yeah, these guys, I mean, they might even just be AI bots. I mean, the reactions are terrible, right? I mean, thank you. I appreciate that, Carrie. I'll put that up there so people know that you actually said something nice. Yeah, see that I said something nice, right? Yeah, and this guy said, like, I don't know, all this stuff. Anyway, and this other guy named Kai, a guy, I don't even know if it's a guy or a girl, because Kai could be either, although the Kais I've mostly met, I think, identify as male, but regardless, it could be either. You've accepted that evidence is irrelevant. Everyone should believe in something, and I believe in America. It's your right, or something. I don't know. He's talking to, that's the same guy talking to this Kai Henningsen, who I don't know at all. Oh, so you haven't? Yeah. So you said, yeah, shot him down with dedication. Yeah, because I mean, like a lot of times you can stop people flat by just saying, hey, bring something weird. James Miller. Okay, so Ember, I chatted with Ember about this to say, hey, this was happening. And he said, oh yeah, like maybe it's James Miller. I think he was saying that last night on Stephanie's stream. So I was like, hey, Ember, there's some guy like just going to town saying a bunch of nonsense. But there you go, yeah. So anyway, this guy's last response to me was kind of funny. He said, Al Trucker 18, I'm from Missouri. You have to show me if you can. Repeat my whole text and shred it with why your evidence prove you're right. Try to cut your own water and not follow in someone else's wake. Well, I mean, I had a to go with that, and I told Ember what I was going to say, which I did not say. I was going to say, oh, I'm sorry, Tom. If I'd known that earlier, I would have just said, bless your heart. Anyway, instead what I said was, now that I know that, it's all clear. Would that you had offered an intelligent text, thought, or premise to debunk. After giving it a few moments thought, I've decided you're a dishonest interlocutor. ill-informed, unprepared, and not honestly interested in the subject matter at all, but rather to stir a pot that's empty. Stop embarrassing yourself. And I've heard nothing more. Anyway, perhaps I shouldn't have said that even, but I don't know. I went back and forth with the guy, but I mean, really, this is just nonsense, right? The guy has nothing. The guy has nothing. I think the first thing I said to the guy was like, this is absolute nonsense. Oh, thank you, Carrie. I'm not much of a writer, but I am a half decent trucker. Hopefully I'll get good at it one day. But yeah, the whole concept that Ember or anyone else involved in this is attacking people is like, yeah, I don't know. I don't get why we should give them the time of day, but then at the same time, if we don't take them at least a little bit seriously, then we risk that somebody who actually is an honest interlocutor would not come and have a chat and have a chance to see that maybe what's being sold to them isn't right. Gospel Logan. We want to read. Oh, okay. Gospel Logan. Is it Gospel Logan or Gospel Logian? I do want to read your conversation, Carrie. I do want to read it. I don't know if there is someone named Gospel Logan. I mean, there's so many other, probably both, but Gospel Logian's the one I sort of recognize a little bit in my mind. Was that an Ember thing? I don't know. Yes, Gospel Logian. Okay, so this is it. Oh, now I'm starting it out. I don't want Ember to copyright strike me here. 49. Oh, here we go. Thanks for mentioning Coda Humarati. James Miller. Very good interviewer. Is this the guy, James Miller? Okay, but I got to find your conversation. Carrie Ann Chrysler. Here you go. You got 20 replies. 20 replies. Here it is. Okay. Not allowing him any leeway. Okay. All right. Well, we're going to go through this, and then I should do something much smarter with everyone's life. But here we go. Okay, so this is it, and you've done timestamps on it. I won't read them because anybody else. So Ember interviewed, talked to Gospelologian, and you went through this, and James Miller 7457 came at you with some comments. So you said deliverance equals trading addictions. Moses ran away from justice for the murder he committed before he was given the commandments, meaning murder was bad enough for humanity to have laws against it before God did. That's interesting point. If Moses was the one bringing the commandments down from the Lord, I think things in reality is real and things outside of reality is not real. And you timestamp that as 8:52, since that's obviously a specific comment. People could go check that. But that's a good point, because our explanation of reality is possibly up for interpretation. If you want to start getting into pedantic semantics and all that kind of stuff, it's worth talking about what words mean. My kids and I were all talking about what words mean earlier this week and this weekend in particular. We were doing different stuff, and I said, think about homophones as well. Like, a word can mean something, especially when it's spoken. If you don't clarify, you don't know what's being said. In reality, it could be a slippery word. So definitely. And then you say religions equal the organization restrictions of beliefs. Yeah. So it doesn't tell people religions tell people not just what to think, but how to think it, where to think it, and also what to do. It also restricts actions because it tells us what we should and shouldn't think in our brains, which is all well and good to say, but you can't actually do. Our brains do what they do, good or bad. And we all have to question what goes on in our own brains, I suppose. But when someone questions all sorts of things that are quite normal, I think that gives us pause to wonder what it is exactly they're working towards. God's word, something outside of reality, speaking in reality, is not logical. Basically, it's just making the idolatry of the holy books acceptable for believers so they don't feel like they're lying to themselves. And there you go, right? It's and those are all Carrie's words here, just to be clear. Carrie, all in the last 13 hours. Wow. You've been very busy. But here we are, acceptable for believers so they don't feel like they're lying to themselves. So basically what you're saying is, and I don't even know, I don't really need to paraphrase it. You're saying, hey, they tell you to do this, they tell you to do that, they tell you not to do this, and they tell you not to do that, and then they tell you why all the times they contradicted themselves. It's totally fine and logical and not to worry about it. And at various times in history, they've even told people, you know what, don't worry about it. Don't even read what's written. We'll tell you what it says and why. And we'll tell you what to think about what you're not allowed to read. I'm adding that in from my perspective, just because, calling it God's word is pretty crazy in general. And I'm wondering, is this the same guy I saw? I think this is the guy I saw. Yeah, I'm way balder than this dude. He's got a longer beard, but if I comb mine out and put the straightener on it, maybe I'd get that. So, and I've just lost the chat. Here we go. I got to go back to what you said, but you've done it so well here. Jesus said you wouldn't get it if you're not meant to get it. It seems redundant to make a book of step-by-step instructions. They aren't going to get it. It justifies self-assured ideals that one is in the know, but are actually just pasties. I'm not sure what that means. Okay, well, here we go. I don't know. Carrie Ann, I don't know that my take is all that helpful here. Pasties are, I'm not sure what you mean by pasties. I know of pasties is like these little things that you wear on your nipples if you're in a place where you're not allowed to show a bare nipple, but you're allowed to show everything else. And no one's ever told me I couldn't show my nipples. But, victims of a con. Oh, okay. I think the way I pronounce that is patsies, but maybe it's a regional thing. Okay. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. So here I am thinking you're trying to, there are patsies. Yes, they are patsies for sure. Yeah. That's not a word you hear all the time anymore, but yeah. Well, and you know what? You could put a nipple cover on it. I was talking about nipple covers earlier. I just don't remember which chat it was in, or whether I should be bringing that up. I know you're not allowed to have nipples on YouTube for some reason, but you know what? When I worked in construction, you had to nipple a lot of things together. They had electrical nipples for conduit, and they had all sorts of different brass nipples, cast iron nipples, plastic nipples for plumbing and gas lines. Like, I don't know. Nippling something in was always a way you would tie something into something. Pasties are the meat. Oh, okay. Like pasties is like short for pastries. Yeah, and I don't know. The only time I ever heard pasties in my life, and I guess it makes it sound like I grew up in a cat house, but I didn't. Was that like a stripper would wear them in mostly in the US, because in Canada, like, long before, I don't know if you're allowed to have bare nipples in the States even now. They're pretty like very weird about sexuality and nudity there, but in many parts of Canada, being fully nude was just whatever. Nobody really gave a shit. Some people did in some areas, but that's what it is, right? Anyway, yeah, in the US, I don't know, they're all about freedom, unless it's freedom to be nude, I guess. I don't know. Not something I'm super worried about. In Canada, you don't really have to stop people from being nude because the weather does that. Anyway, you say, Carrie says, I have a higher moral standard than Jesus. Why would I behave less than to make a perfect God better than me? And that was at 2904 for someone who wants to go look at the context. And I guess I could and should, but like, I don't really feel like tearing apart Ember's videos, although I think you're probably really taking apart what Gospelologian said. I know this is the guy, I think this is the guy that I made the comment in the live chat that what was really going on here was that we were misinterpreting that someone was talking about the writers of the Bible as being people, and I said, no, they were pencils. He used them like they were pencils, which is what the guy said. Although I don't think I'm mixing it up. I really don't think I am.
Okay.
Don't worry, Amber's not here. I just accidentally pressed play. And so yeah, having a higher moral standard than Jesus is like probably pretty easy to do. Having a higher moral standard than God certainly is. And yeah, that apologist guy. So I heard that apologist guy like say a lot of stuff that really didn't make sense. The only thing I would agree that both Ember and this guy Joe agree that both of them had a relatively positive, polite, and respectful demeanor towards each other. And that is nice, right? Because there is something really nice about that. And yeah, Jesus, I don't have enough background knowledge on every word in the Bible to know that for sure. But I certainly think there were lots of places where Jesus was less than awesome himself to be, more than just a little bit of a dick in more than one occasion. And Jesus is, depending on how you want to look at it, and depending on how pedantic you want to get about it, Jesus was God. God made a flesh and blood version of himself to go, and so he could be sacrificed to himself to get out of. I mean, people say this all the time. He made himself a loophole for a rule he made that he knew would be broken, that he knew would be broken again. He knew he couldn't solve any of these things. If he's actually omnipotent, omniscient, etc., right? More soon, it opens the Bible to scrutiny. That opens the Bible. Yeah, well, you see, opening the Bible to scrutiny is always bad, right? I mean, the more you read, the more you learn, right? And here we go. Yes, and I'm scrolling down. Jesus was a pirate. He was arrested for being a pirate and killed because he was a pirate. It sounds like he would have been like a really good candidate for pastafarianism, but I think the flying spaghetti monster had already created the whole universe by then, and just poof, was gone. And so, despite the fact that we've all been touched by his noodly appendage, Jesus missed out. His arrogance those are my words, not Carrie. Carrie said Jesus was a pirate. He's arrested for being a pirate and killed because he was a pirate. His arrogance comes from God. God is not a part of reality, so nothing can make this person be a good person. And that was from 32:37 in the timestamp. And yeah, I mean, Jesus was not, by and large, like an amazing person in the Bible. I think he did teach people and said to people that they should treat people of one type and another in a better way than they were doing on their own, which flies right in the face of what biblical literalism would have us do, because that would have us not treat our neighbors well, not treat the poor well, not treat people well if they were of the wrong profession, of the wrong ilk, of the wrong part of society, or whatnot. But he also told people they should get rid of all their worldly goods and get rid of all of their money and all of their clothes and just put on even their sandals and whatnot, right? Like they shouldn't even protect themselves from what's on the ground, which is really a stupid idea. But anyway, I live in Canada. What do I know? Wearing boots is kind of normal. And here we go. So, was Jesus arrogant? I mean, he certainly tried to have an argument with a fig bush or something like that. I can't remember if that was arrogant or not, but it seems a little crazy. At 41:11, you made a really good note here, and let's see what was said beyond there. But I have had more supernatural experiences than this twit, and not one is from a god. They are all in reality. I don't have answers for them all, but I am 100% sure it isn't a god, it's natural. And yes, we spoke about this a little bit. Fringe, scholarship on an open thought. You have a channel for long trip. Okay. All right. Well, I'm definitely going to need that. You're going to have to post that up here or something, or send it to me. I don't know how you do that. you're gonna find me. I don't know. I don't know for sure, but I think if you're on Ember's Discord, you can find me there. And if you're not, and you know how to get a hold of Dr. Tap, he has me on Discord and will send me stuff if you ask him to when he thinks of it. Hypotheticals from 4559. He follows vile propaganda and claims it moralistic. So that's kind of a new thought. So I'm going to go back to this other one. You've had more supernatural experiences than this twit, and I think that's important. And this guy, I think the one thing he brought up is that he'd had some very bad experiences of abuse growing up in an abusive home and with a religious leader father, if I remember correctly. I don't think I'm mixing this guy up with somebody else. I think I have it right now. And I don't wish that on anybody at all. And I also understand why that makes somebody look for answers. When we look for answers for something that seems like a supernatural experience, which just means outside of nature. Your comment earlier I could probably find, but I there's no need to put it up. You basically said you think there's natural explanations for the way the brain works, the way the psyche works, what we call the soul, etc. A lot of times if you don't get super caught up in language, we're all talking about the same thing. There is something that makes us more than just an eating and screwing machine, right? At this point in my life, I've fathered 2 children. They're growing up enough they could probably survive themselves out on the street and probably reproduce themselves again at some point. I've done okay. I could die. I've done my job. So now, in our society, I think it would be better if I stick around for at least 10 more years and maybe longer if I'm lucky. But, the bottom line is, I've done what I had to do, what this type of primate needs to accomplish to propagate the species. From a life perspective, the things I do, the thoughts I have are they extraneous? Maybe. The fact that I can think about whether they're extraneous, that's kind of something on top of what we think of maybe like a broccoli stalk doing or a tree. And yet we don't know how much of a consciousness a plant might have. We certainly don't think they have one. I've never thought that they have one, but people have described and anthropomorphized plants and trees and things. It's kind of interesting. Shared start here, episode 1. If you're not an open thinker, intentionally done by the doc to get the ball rolling on people. Okay, all right. Well, I'll check that out. Oh, and I see Neil's. I just got the thing. Neil's having an after party now, so I should not be keeping you or anyone else from it. But researching the Greek to get this information out. Researching the Greek. Okay. Yeah. I should just go. But anyway, let's see what James Miller says. Believing in God is not an addiction. No, maybe not. But it can fill the same hole, right? Vile propaganda, such harsh language to what you said. Well, bullshit. It's not vile propaganda. It's just the truth. The stuff that the harsh language is there. Yeah, no, I'm good. I might check in on that too, but I don't have to join right away. I don't know what they're talking about. It's probably awesome. It's probably awesomer than this, but here we go. And you responded. He was thinking more about the addition of things, like the word marriage and evil, with James conveying moral standards on marriage, when in fact it says take a woman. Woman is not the contract maker. The father and the man are. She is only allowed a choice if the man who owns her allows it. Vileness that being born female is less than even a slave. Women are also not counted as people in the original text. All fabricated medieval word changes are additions teaching segregation by your reproductive organs. And that's a really good point. And it's a pretty stupid thing to subjugate people by. And I was having a conversation with, not on a stream, but with people that I do streams with the other day, and they were letting me know something that I'm not sure I knew before. I mean, I knew it was a common problem. I didn't realize that their perception was that that as a non-sexual assaulter, I would be in the far minority. And I certainly hope that I've never had any encounter that anybody would consider a sexual assault. But the way they described their experience, there were I think 3 female people present speaking and 1 other male person. So 3 and 2, and all of us probably of a similar age range, somewhere in the sort of 30 to 50 ish age range. So not brand new people on this earth, nor people looking for a retirement home, but somewhere in the middle there. So I guess middle-aged people that have lived a bit of a life, have a bit of experience. So it's always bothered me anytime I see anybody treated as less than for any reason. And I also, I have lots of people in my circle that are good people, and they also happen to be female. I also have recently started to get to know more people who are something maybe a little bit less binary, a little bit less cut and dry, and some people that are just as much binary. They are either male or female, but they didn't enter this world presenting as such, and hopefully they'll get to leave the world that way, being who they are themselves, right? And so this is important because it's almost like after feudal times, it still was a very long road, from feudal medieval Europe to I think there were various different versions of this, but I think women have always been treated for a long time as second-class citizens in any organized political system. Whether we would recognize those political systems as political or not is, I suppose, up for discussion. But I think it's not really. I think that people were in charge, and in some cases, you could take that being in charge from them by force, and in a few other cases, you could not. What you could do is you could just suck it up, buttercup kind of thing. And so it didn't matter whether you were a man or a woman. If you weren't rich and powerful, you weren't rich and powerful, and you weren't making any decisions. Yeah, we know what's right because experiencing what's wrong and deciding not to be a person who does it to others because it sucks. Yeah, no, and that's true. And I think, one of the things that you'll hear people say is that, the concept of hell in Abrahamic religions, and particularly in Christianity, and I think Islam, Christianity, I think Judaism, and I think there's a few other religions that follow Abrahamic tradition, and I can't say that I know them. And this is why I don't really get into major religious conversations overly frequently. But it's right. If you do the wrong thing, one wrong thing, like not believing in God, and you go to hell for the rest of your life, it's not a fair thing, especially if just saying, oh yeah, no, I'm sorry, I'm a minute out from dying, so just, by the way, God, you and I are cool, I'm coming, everything's forgiven. And it doesn't matter how you treated people. And I'd like to think that the way I treat people is worth a whole lot more than that. Not for God, not for heaven or hell, but for, hopefully those people remember me well and hopefully pay it forward. If I treated them well, I hope they pay that forward. And if I lost my thoughts on treating them well and I made a mistake, I hope they say, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do better. That's what I'd like people to take to the grave. Is knowing that that's the way they did it. That'd be a whole lot better. When I think of like people whose initials happen to be KH, and what they say about this stuff, I can think of at least 2 of them I don't think very highly of. And just to be clear, that was Kilo Hotel, because Carrie Ann, I know you're Yeah, someone might have misunderstood that as KA. I don't want them to mishear me because of my lack of diction and elocution. But yes, I think we know who I'm talking about. Those people are garbage. And they think they know something we don't, or they know they don't know it, but they hope people pay the money for it. That's a bullshit way to. If you're doing something just for money and nothing else, it's the wrong motivation. If you're doing it for money because you need money to get by, that's fine. But if you've got money and you can afford life, and you just keep trying to suck more money out of people because you're addicted to money, I don't think that much of you. I'd like to have more money. I'd like to have more comfort, more security from that. But you know, I don't have to worry about whether I have a meal on the table. At least not right now. Have I ever in my life? Not really. Not that hard. I've always been able to borrow money to keep myself afloat and pay it back. It ain't easy. I'm still in debt now, but mostly on my house, and it's something I'll eventually be able to pay off, right? It's not without an asset, right? If the whole world came crumbling down on me tomorrow, it would suck hard. It would not be an easy road, but I wouldn't be totally destitute. Other people are a lot closer. But yeah, money ain't what you gotta fucking live for. But those guys, I don't think they realize that. When I die, I know I made a difference for people, and they hopefully did too. My drop in the water, my efforts spread out far beyond myself. Definitely worth hell. Yeah, no, you know what? The great thing about hell is if it's true, all my favorite people will be there, and I'm gonna enjoy the fuck out of it. I wouldn't want to be, as the old atheist meme goes, an eternity in heaven with them isn't the carrot that Christians think it is. And yeah, man, it sounds pretty fucking terrible. I mean, they got it all backwards anyway. Constantly policing everyone's behavior. Anyway, I'll move through a few more of these things here. So James said to you after this, okay, you were thinking about this. I'm sure why you apply the standard when it is not standard for it any longer. About the way people are treated. Citation needed, dude. James Miller. I don't know. I'm just gonna assume. I assume Jim's a dude. James Miller. You know what? The standard is still fucking used. A lot of women are treated like property. There's a lot of cultures and religions where it's still true, and there's a lot where it may not be the law of the land, but it's the law of what happens. And yeah, no, you're right. You're right, Carrie. Marriage is something that I mean, technically, when I got married to my wife, we were married as technical equals in this country. Not true everywhere. And we were not married in a religious ceremony. We specifically said we did not want one. I think we ended up with an officiant who had some other ideas I'm not super happy with. And yeah, by man, not God, created. Yeah, no, absolutely. And the institution of marriage is like, it's really something that put the contract into place that in my modern world basically just gives my wife and I certain rights and privileges by blending our lives together. But it's really just, apart from the fact that it's easier to do paperwork and stuff, it's mostly just something for taxation purposes. The ceremony itself was really something where we were committing to a life together, a tax exemption. Yeah, no, you're right, Carrie. It can sometimes, the tax implications can be big, and the fact that that one major benefit is something that the religious right wants to like hold on to like crazy, like as though it somehow would personally cause them grief. If like, good Lord, what would happen if two people of what they deem to be the same gender, sex, whatever, whatever terminology they've got screwed up in their heads. And I certainly have not got it totally right in mine yet, but I'm trying. But yeah, they do not want anybody to have those benefits. I don't know why. But you point out here, Carrie, these are your words again. It's taught whether or not followed is God's one of people. How is it not vile or relevant? It is vile, and it is relevant. You're quite right. And he said it was taught to ancient people just learning to be social societies. It is always easy to judge history. It's much harder to look back with nuance. Well, fuck. I mean, I guess he's white, so he probably didn't believe this, but, societies that we can dig up and be certain that they had written language, spoken language, buildings put together. I mean, stuff that people did together in a way that's everlasting, in the fact that we can find it still extant, just buried under a few layers of dust. Like, fuck, those guys had societies. You can tell me they didn't. And those societies were literally standing like the very moment they say God wished the whole world into existence before he'd even made Adam or anything. Yeah, like their heads must have been spinning to watch God put it all together in front of them. Because we have archaeological digs. I'd have to look up exactly where they are, but they're at least thousands of years before the 6K year mark people are on. And even if you go back to like 10, I think it's at least 12 that they have writings and stuff from. And yeah, James Miller, if you ever watch this, you probably won't. I don't think you're one of my subscribers. You probably won't ever become one. But Carrie and I can agree on this. That's a stupid argument. I think you'll say it's a stupid argument. I'll give him my take before I see yours. And he's saying it's not taught. It's still written because we still have the transcript. But where's it taught? Holy fuck, is this guy never been in a church? Jesus Christ. I guess this guy's not religious. He's just wants to argue. But yeah, James, there's this thing called organized religion. You should look it up. And what to do is, some of the big ones, and again, I know there's others, but have a look at it here. There's this weird thing. So they teach about the Bible. They teach about the Quran. They teach about the Torah. I think it's called the Pentateuch. I'm probably mispronouncing a lot of this shit. But you know what I'm talking about. If you Google them or get close, you'll be able to find them. And if you don't like Google, a lot of them are written on paper. They print the fuck of a lot of them, let me tell you. There's one in every hotel room. And they teach about it. In some schools, they teach about it every day. And in, weird, commie, godless places like where I live, you can sign your kids up for it in private school. And if you don't think that's good enough, you can send them to public school. And in the public school, after school every day, they'll teach your kids about religion every day in the same school. They don't have to go anywhere. And if that's not good enough, you can send them to school on Saturday and or Sunday. And they'll teach them more about religion there. It's totally a thing. And the books they use are the fucking Bible and its various incarnations. Oh, let's see. What did he say? In every faith, using the Bible as a source of the faith. Well, there you go. I mean, Carrie, I'm going to disagree with you there. Not every faith. I mean, some faiths use a different book or different tablets, writings, what have you. I don't think the Buddhists use the Bible, but I mean, it probably keeps their tables from wobbling. But, they do have other scriptures, I am sure. Lots of writings. I think, the Buddhists, the Hindus, they all have statues and tablets and things. I am not a religious scholar of any kind, but I do know that there's more than one of them. Yeah, the Christian sex. Yeah. So here we go. Let's see. I think he's making a claim here. I think he's taking ownership. Carrie Ann Chrysler. I am a Christian. I went to Catholic school as a child. I've never been taught to treat a woman as a second-class citizen. I cherish my wife. She is my partner in life. How could I not? Well, guess what, James? I know he had you pissed. I agree with you, James. I didn't go to Catholic school. I'm not a Christian. I was brought up by people that were at least half Christian when I was raised around a lot of Christianity. And very good friends of mine were Catholic. They went to Catholic school, and you know what? They treated their family well. They did not subjugate wives, etc. Everybody had to work. Welcome to modern reality. But the fact of the matter is, what they learned at church, what they studied in the Bible, was not putting women on a level playing field. So let's see. Carrie, you got something else to say. You aren't following the God of the Bible, then an excellent choice. But by evading accountability for the book your chosen faith is stemming from, all you do is perpetuate the vileness. Whether you act as it says or not, you are giving credibility to and fighting for it. And yeah, it seems like he is, right? He's like saying, well, yeah, don't do that. I don't even do that. That's bad. But you're being really harsh. He said that a few sentences back. He thought you're being harsh. Calling it vile is too harsh. I'm sorry, it's fucking vile. It's vile to treat people badly for any reason. That's just based on who a person is by where they're born. I think there's still lots of places. I know in India is a thing. I don't know how much of a thing it still is, but I know that my mother had a friend whose father left them some money, would not let them have it if they stayed in India. Said you have to move to somewhere in the West for me to leave you the money, because he had no sons and he did not want the money leaving the family. If she'd stayed there, it would have, any money she inherited from him, any of his estate, would have by law gone to whoever she was married to. And that's what honest is sometimes uncomfortable. Yeah, you know what it is, and it's uncomfortable for me too. I've had to deal with some uncomfortable things many times in my life, and today I had to have some conversations with people that I found uncomfortable because I didn't really understand what was going on, and I still don't. But I've decided to try and understand better. So, Carrie, I think you said some very, very smart stuff here, because you said, whether you act as it says or not, you're giving credibility to and fighting for it. And he was fighting for sure. Yeah. And it is fucking harsh. Sometimes it has to be. Okay. Do you follow God of the Bible? Jesus Christ fulfilled the law. We are no longer bound by the law of the Israelites. The law is now written on our hearts. Fuck, my copy didn't come out. Here's what the NT says about marriage. 1 Peter 3, 7-21. In 7. In the same way, you husbands must give honor to your wives. Treat your wife with understanding as you live together. Treating her with understanding isn't the same thing as treating her equally or with equality, which isn't equal, might mean exact, and equality might mean similar but not identically the same. That's the only God I know. He's treated me very well. And it's a medieval edition, you point out, Carrie. Don't doubt it's the only thing you recognize, because only you know your mind. God is a conceptualization in the self. The only evidence we have of a God is humans created. And he says to you, if that is your interpretation, I feel sorry for you. Relationship with God is so fulfilling. Well, yeah, maybe so. But, he doesn't exist. So that means he's fulfilled by fuck all. at least as far as I can tell. I'm open to some evidence. You haven't asked for evidence, and he hasn't provided any. He's just basically saying he lives his life this way, and God makes it that way for him. Your relationship with God should not depend on a book full of bad ideas. That's bad worshiping. You defend violence, not your faith. Yeah, honest can be harsh. Is definitely right. I'm gonna be honest here. I don't fully understand that sentence, but I'm gonna try to break it down and get through it here. Your relationship with God should not depend upon a book full of bad ideas. That and that's book worshiping. That okay, I get that. I get that. Okay. So this is where I'm losing it. It's his last two comments are they're separated by periods. Maybe it's meant to be a comma and there's no way to fix that on a device. So you defend vileness, not your faith. But I guess I'm gonna put on that this faith in the Lord, faith in God is what he's defending. He has that faith, and he had what he describes as a relationship that's fulfilling. And what you're saying, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but what you're saying is when he defends the book and worshiping of the book and what the book itself, that you're defending violence, because the violence is written in there. There's no question. I mean, you can paint it up any which way you want. You can try to twist the words. You can try to tell other people they're twisting the words, but the bottom line is that book treats most people in the world as garbage, as absolute disposable garbage. If you're not from the same neighborhood, you're garbage. If you're not the right color, you're garbage. If you're not the right gender, you're garbage. And yeah, your accusations are for being too harsh. And yeah, it's fucking harsh, but it's true. And the book is full of vile shit, you know. The way the Lord treats people, the way he's referred to, like God is referred to in this book, this Yahweh character in the book is brought forth as a fucking monster, you know. Like, did he do anything good? I don't know. I mean, he didn't exist, so he did fuck all. But I mean, basically, it's saying he was like a genocidal, homicidal maniac and really a control freak, a narcissist. I don't know. He's defending violence and worshiping it. Yeah. I think you could definitely defend much better an idea of being spiritual, being respectful of other people. I mean, you really just don't need Abrahamic religion to do any of that. There's some value maybe to like getting together with other people to work on projects that help bring charity and volunteerism to a neighborhood. Like those are pretty good laudable goals, and maybe a reason, you know, to hold on to these things. Community and whatnot comes together, like the bullshit of it, God and Jesus and all the rest of it. I mean, that's just introducing levels of control and bullshit we don't need. We get more done without it. Absolutely. Defending violence or worshiping, yeah. So here we go. Let's see. He says the fact you use up so much energy on God is evidence of his existence. Well, you said he said that, and there he was fucking saying it. Well, that was 3 hours ago, Carrie. How do you feel about that? Yeah. Yeah, no. I think, yeah, you're right, Carrie. There is something to spirituality, at least as a concept. I wouldn't call it that, but I think I know what people, you get a feeling of what people mean when they talk about a soul or a spirit. We do seem to be something maybe a little bit more than the sum of our parts, right? That is something. It's something that we should probably acknowledge, but we don't necessarily need to send all our money to God. And I'm not even sure that the people asking for it have his PO address to send it to. So, our PO box, but you know what I mean. All right. So just the fact that you use up so much energy on God is evidence of his existence. I think, Carrie, I don't know you that well. I mean, what I know of you is that you're a super nice person. I'm going to leave it at that because I don't know a whole lot more. But I know that you are a very thoughtful and kind person. I've said that before. I'll say it again. I've seen you make lots of commentary. I've seen you defend good people, and I've seen you put bad people in their place. So I know there's something good in you, and that's there. You know, I've never spoken to you, never met you, but the way you speak, the things you say, and the way you say them is indicative of that. So I'm gonna say, do you put this energy into it because you want to stop shitty stuff from happening? You want to spread good. Good way to describe your idea of spirituality: a natural need to explore. Yeah, I think that's right. I think natural need to explore inner exploration. Yeah, we will for sure, Carrie. You're welcome to come on my channel anytime, and I don't think you live that far away. I might run into you somewhere sometime. We'll figure it out. But because I think you're only well one state over, not even a whole state over. Because like I mean, this is a province, but it's a little piece of this province and most of your state, I think. But um, you explored a good way. Yeah. So spirituality is a concept, right? And I don't. Yeah, West Coast of Michigan. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I remember talking to you about this, and I told you I was down on that end of Michigan. Well, it was a couple of years ago now, but I went and got something down from in Michigan City, Indiana, which is not in Michigan, it's in Indiana, but it's really close to Michigan. It's really close to. I was also near Elkhart, which is not too far from there. Also in Indiana, but also close to Michigan and really close to. What do you guys call your lake? The one you guys have and we don't? Lake Michigan? That's it, Lake Michigan. But where the pinky meets the ring. Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, because you guys are like the mid, right? Yeah. Okay, so I just said you're doing this because it's a good thing to do because, shitty beliefs are shitty beliefs. I don't know what I just hit. You're off Lake Michigan. Yeah, okay. Got it. Okay. I think, yeah, you're not on the lake, right? Okay. It proves my dedication to correct how vile people are in our society, keeping us held back from improvement. Gods do not exist. You choose to believe they do. It's just fine, but society needs accountability, and things like defending the Bible's and ideals is a huge contributor to this issue. To this issue, I am dedicated to. My interactions only prove that there are people in the world who act according to their book, not to the obligation we all have to each other to create a better society and future for those who come after us. Well, that was extremely well put. What do I say to that? I think your interactions show that you're willing to think, you're willing to give more than 2 seconds thought to what James puts in as a kind of a knee jerk reaction to things. You know, James wants to be right. James doesn't want to think. Um, I think we all want to be correct. We all want to be right. We all want to have the right ideas in our head. And it's pretty fucking hard to find out you don't, because that's kind of the way shit is, I guess. But yeah, let's have a look at this. What he said here, right? You used up so much energy on God as evidence of his existence, and yeah, no, you held him accountable. I don't know if he's going to say anything else to you. There's nothing else here now, at least as of it says 3 hours ago. I think YouTube clocks are not atomic clocks, but let's say it's been a while since you've had the chat with him. Let's have a look at the concepts at work here. There's a couple of them at play. He's basically come up with this idea that if you spend any time countering him, that you've given, I'll put this up here, because you've held him accountable, because he's saying, okay, you spend any time at all defending your position, which is one of, you don't see evidence for God. I think you're open-minded enough to say, hey, if he showed up right now, there was unmistakable proof. Sure, there's unmistakable proof. That's a thing that could happen. Why not? But you don't see any. But you do see a lot of people making claims they don't have receipts for, right? They're just saying, yeah, this is, most religions, Christianity in particular, it doesn't matter which denomination you go to, it's a lot of carrot is heaven, stick is hell. And biblical immorality. I mean, some people say the book is the claim. Well, yeah, I mean, the book is the claim. Let's say we burn every Bible down to the ground right now. Like, let's say we could take them all away. There were no scraps in museums or universities, nothing being studied by biblical scholars. A lot of people wrap their whole lives up in this shit. And you got to wonder, 2,000 years ago, they wrote down a few pieces of this shit and it kept some. A lot of them didn't make it. Okay, that's interesting. And then a few thousand years before that, there are a few other things written down. But, like, doesn't it make sense that we look at them as archaeological oddities rather than something we should all pay attention to? And if we are going to say that we should pay attention to this, and that this is all true, why would we think that what the Muslims think, what the Christians think, what the Jews think, why would we think any of that is more likely true than what the Egyptians thought? Because they were there before all of them, that if the truth is, like, being right when God was there creating everything, that would be the best time, right? And so the societies that were there, right, long before God came and created anything, like, I would go for their gods, right? Like, Yahweh is kind of like a latecomer compared to all these other ones. Grant them their good. I'm sure he's in God. You grant them their God, refuse to let them use an empty deals as an excuse to be inhumane or prolong fixing humanity's need for a better society. Yes, okay, I got it. Okay, I'm catching up with your other statements here. So yeah, no, Carrie, I agree. We can't hold people at fault for believing that a God exists. If you're told that your whole life, you're gonna believe that. You have to turn your whole world upside down. Like, the whole reason why deconstructing exists. And I never had to really deconstruct, because I think I did it as a kid. Like, instinctually, I was like, this can't be right. Like, when my mom told me about God and Jesus, she was just like, yeah, they love you. They're great. They, I went to Sunday school and they started talking about something. I'm like, Mom, we gotta stop going to this place. There are Looney Tunes in there, and I don't know. I was probably about school age, but anyway, my mom doesn't remember all these conversations, so that would not happen. But I remember a few things from back that time. My mom tells other stories of me saying similar things in more secular settings. So, like, telling people that they were full of shit because what they were saying didn't make no sense. So I suspect I actually was thinking like that. So we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. I'll know eventually, right? Like, some people whose initials are KH tell me I'll find out one day. I sure as fuck hope I do. And I hope they don't let the door hit them in the ass on their way out. But I know that doesn't make me very charitable or very nice, but it's more than I could say for them. They're the opposite. And I guess I got to figure out a way to be nice to everybody and not put people down just for being shitty people. People are shitty people for a reason. I just wish it wasn't always a shitty reason. But yeah, if you, I guess like this is the thing I come back to all the time. And I said to Dr. Tap I wasn't gonna get all serious and stuff, but I've gotten super fucking serious tonight, which isn't good because I'm usually like just shooting from the hip. But yeah, I'm gonna put this up here because you've listed them all, so I don't have to think so hard. I think you can see my brain grinding to a halt here. Here we go. Carrie, you're right. The Abrahamic teachings are a direct source for misogyny, genocide, bigotry, capitalism, classism, etc. And until it stops feeling these atrocities, I will hold them all accountable. And Carrie, I'm so glad you're doing that because that is a great fucking thing to do. Because you're damn straight. They were building a society on this, and you can almost see the thread in history where depending on who wants to spread a narrative, you'll have it turned in a different way. One way, you'll see it one way or another. But yeah, I like your purpose in life too. You're doing great. You're doing great, Carrie. Yeah, I'm delivering a rock, and you're giving people more stuff to think about, which is probably what I should really be doing. But I don't know. My whole life is revolved around building things and moving things, and delivering this freaking rock is pretty good, right? So I'll talk about that in another stream because I have some ideas. I'm starting to do some writing for my other work, and I'm putting some thoughts together on how the world works and how we need to think. But this is right. You take the Abrahamic teachings. They teach you that women are property, right? They're property in so much as and like any of them that are already married or whatever, or that are not virgins, kill them, throw them away. They're garbage. If they're virgins, take them, share them around. Everybody take one home. You got a new wife, whatever. You can have multiple wives. That's a bullshit way to treat people. I don't care who you are. That fucking pisses me off. It pisses me off because those women are all people. And I have made the mistake of saying, those people are people I recognize in my life. People that are close to me, people I love, and yeah, they are. But more importantly, they're people, right? Those people are people. Carrie, I could assume you're female from your name, and that's not necessarily a fair thing to do. But whether you are or not doesn't matter. You recognize it as wrong, and when it's wrong, it's wrong. That's all there is to it. Genocide, like killing people because they're part of a group, getting rid of a gene pool, whatever you want to call it. Oh, you're a she, her, any. Okay, so you've clarified that, right? I think I've clarified before. I don't usually put it up everywhere. Somebody asks, so I'm he, him driver. But yeah, there you go. Not the only approach needed to make the changes necessary. Approach is just as important. Yeah, and I think that's a good point, right? Now I'm moving ahead to what you're saying, but I'll run through the last few things here. Bigotry, capitalism, classism. So capitalism is a funny one because we live in a capitalist society, so it's hard to live without it. But the way capitalism works, I had a chat with somebody about this. The only way to end capitalism is for one company to own the entire fucking world, right? All right, I'll move on to that in a second too. But capitalism is hard to get away from because it's around us, but classism, all that stuff, bigotry, like just looking at someone and saying, okay, you're out, you're an other, you're an out of my group person. That's fucked up, right? That's not the way to, you look at the shade of somebody's skin. It's like, that's a fucking stupid way to do it. Hey, PC, welcome to my stream here. I've been rambling here, but Carrie's been feeding me stuff to talk about for some reason. Um, what that is that a burnt egg or an eyeball and a heart? Anyway, that's great. Whatever that is my eyes are eye pink heart. I think it's eye pink heart. I'm trying to figure that out. Anyway, PC, welcome. Welcome. I don't know how you're having a wonderful time, Carrie, but I'm doing what I can, right? So yeah, I mean, capitalism to come to a conclusion. One entity owns every government in the world, every property in the world, everyone in the world. There's all just one company. That's kind of it, right? If you don't get to that, you've lost capitalism, right? If you just have a lot of the money, you fucked up. I think it's sold as something where everybody should have a chance, but really, if you look at the way it works, and I was a bad businessman because I never understood this. I never understood how to get my head wrapped around it. It's the idea that you always have to grow, right? That the only success in capitalism is growth. Like, yeah, but the business I'm running, I don't want growth. I want a steady profit that pays my bills. I'm trying to live. I'm trying to make ends meet, maybe have a little bit extra for retirement. Make sure my house is paid off, right? Relatively low stress. I want to provide the services and knowledge that I provide to people when I was in the construction business. It's like, I don't want to grow. I don't need 10 more employees to look after. I need a steady stream of income and to provide the services I provide at a reasonable, steady rate. But that's not the way small business works. Small business is feast or famine. And the feast leaves you scrambling to get it all done, and the famine leaves you scrambling to find something else to do. And there's never a happy medium. And letting somebody else be in charge of that is best thing I ever did for myself. Changing careers, even though that was a bit of a thing, very good idea. So my opinions of capitalism are weird because I've been a cog in the machine in more than one way. But you know what? Small businesses aren't part of what they're worried about anyway. It's about big capital. It's about capital. It's about money. It's about power. Pretending it's not feudal is just trying to make it work. You're trying to convince people that they're part of something that they're not part of. They're a victim of it. They're last limit capitalism capabilities cause societal harm. It's job to fix. I mean, government recording and still keeping. Yeah, no, you're right. So Carrie, that's totally right. You gotta have an opinion that doesn't say throw the baby out with the bathwater, but how can you make this work? So, I've heard people say if you gave everybody an even piece of the pie, some people would be trillionaires at the end of the day, and some people would be paupers again. And yeah, that's probably true. But I wonder if that would be true if everybody started on an even footing of other things, because that's assuming that if you had everybody starting with the knowledge and tools they have in their box today, that gave them the same, I'll use a construction analogy, say everybody gets the same pile of lumber, but not everybody's got the same set of tools or the same knowledge of what to do with them. Some people would have a house built by the end of the week. Some people would have a bonfire. And some people would have something in between. But that's kind of the problem, right? Ending or limiting inheritance is one of my ideas. Yeah. Yay, proxy. I'm waiting on your channel. Yay, proxy. I don't know what that is. PC, I don't understand. We just need, I don't know. I guess we need Carrie Ann to get up here and talk because I'm not doing a good job of saying what she's saying, but I'm trying to understand. But this is good, right? Ending or limiting inheritance. I think I think that's a tricky one because like for a lot of people, like their first chance to like maybe like just make ends meet might come from like a small inheritance from like parents or grandparents. And not having that like taxed to the end of the earth might be good. Um, but it is hard, you know, when you hear about someone who's a multi-billionaire who's just leaving that to their kids who are multi-billionaires who will then become the richest person on earth. It's like, okay, well, you know, here's a plaque for your bathroom that says you won capitalism. But yeah, I mean, like, what are they going to do with that money? If they literally put it back into the system and the system kept working on it, that would be okay, right? Civil accountability, taxation for morbid riches. Yeah, I think that's what you're talking about here, Carrie, is like, you know, is it wrong for people to be super rich? No, that's freaking great. Freaking great. I love it. I love it. It's fantastic. Um, to have accountability and higher business taxes for mega corporations. Yeah, I mean that would certainly make it less attractive to own the whole world, right? Um, it's interesting to see what happens when people with large pools of resources are able to do something interesting. Um, but it's something that doesn't have a cut and dried black and white sort of explanation either, right? Like you take a look at some of the richest people in the world are having a space race right now. Is that interesting? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, directly paying into infrastructure. I mean, that would be really good. And I think some big corporations are already made to pay into infrastructure here to a certain degree. Like if you're developing real estate, I don't know how widely done this is, but I know something here. If you want to develop real estate and build a bunch of houses and make money doing it, you're legally obligated to build a couple of schools in your neighborhood as well. Federal pool divide equally into states. Yeah, I mean, I'm in a different country, but I mean, I get the concept, right? Um, yeah, and in that way, you know, a mega corporation, right, that has offices in multiple places couldn't use one state's lower tax structure to evade paying taxes in another one, right? And I think in my experience with a few US states, there's places where um, over the border, like over state line business is very common. But you might be in a situation where one state's system is preferable to another because they're literally trying to poach something out of the other state. Um, and so they build something up there to avoid something somewhere else, right? And I know that exists in Canadian provinces to some degree, but not as much. You only need interest on tax until their species kept in the pool for emergency purposes. Yeah, I mean these are good ideas, Carrie. Like having I think these even exist in some places, and um, I know that government here will do certain things to help make sure there is funding available for things other than just keeping the lights on and just barely making it. But yeah, no, I mean you're right. I mean, like you and need some need adjustments. I mean that's the thing is like there's so much of our world that is not cut and dry. Right? That's just life. That's like humans are complex. We built a complex society. We built complex infrastructure, and we've gotten used to it too, right? And yeah. No, you're right. Put this in here too. This is a very good concept here. You've got a lot of good thoughts here. You got a lot. You've put some time and thought into it, and yeah, are all the details sorted out? I mean, this is the kind of stuff that I did this paper and study with my colleagues doing research into obesity and the treatment of obesity, the treatment of people living with obesity. We had a lot of people from a lot of different factions working together on this, and a lot of ideas, and a lot of, hey, what about this, or what are the ramifications of this, and just changing the wording of something. With a couple of words, we talked about that earlier on in this conversation too, like, pedantry, semantics. Yeah, they're fucking important when you want to get clear, concise information out of somebody. And you're not giving them a lot of time, because these surveys were done, I think, in something like 15 minutes per person, which is a reasonable amount of time to get somebody to do something on a volunteer basis. I think anything more than that, you're not going to get as much out of them, and you're not going to get the answers you need, because people just keep running away from it, right? Like, it has to be something they can do in a short time. But the information we got was really useful, but we thought really long and hard about a lot of the questions we asked and the wording of those questions, and more than one person commented on them. And I think there was 3 or 4 of them I really wanted to put my 2 cents worth in on, and there were others I thought were just fine no matter how you said them. But there were some where I felt like I needed to say, hey, if we don't word this right, we're gonna alienate someone or lead them to something where we don't want to lead them with the question. We want to get their honest opinion. And so those are thoughts I had, and other people had similar ones. And some people just, for whatever reason, the wording of a question hits somebody a certain way. And, every time I read through the list of questions, it was like, what would I say to this? And how do I feel when I read it? And I tried to put myself back in the seat of someone answering the questions, because I was never presented. Are in there. My opinions are there in the making of the survey questions, how they're worded and that, but also in how we interpreted the data, what we saw and what we said about it. My opinions were again valued on that, but having a team of people evaluate a set of problems that are people that have knowledge about it beyond just saying there's this one person who's the guru of this is the right way to do it. And this is what I've been thinking with my most recent piece that I've sort of written down some notes on. I think it might end up being like a blog post or a little article or something on the website, but I'm not sure. And the doctor that runs it will probably tell me to rewrite a bunch of it, or may tell me it's garbage. I really don't know. But the concept that I started with is thinking about how my career in general contracting, building buildings for people, rebuilding them, redoing interiors, redoing parking lots, redoing roadways and sidewalks and infrastructure. No matter what I did for people over the years, I hired specialists to do what they were great at, and whether they hired consultants or I did, I worked with consultants who were specialists in design and organizing and engineering things, and we all worked together. And my job was largely as a coordinator of all those people. I often was wearing a lot of hats, interpreting drawings for people with less blueprint reading ability, and translating that information, but also in communicating with clients, communicating with municipal and provincial regulators and all those sorts of people. I mean, that was what I did for my whole career. And a lot of it was just getting people together on the same page, whether they started there or not. And I don't know what you think was a great idea here, Carrie, but I'll get you to elaborate on that. But I basically, when I started putting that thing together, I was like, the reason why you need experts is because experts are really good at what they do. But if you leave out the client, and when it comes to healthcare, where I work, in my advocacy, when it comes to healthcare, the client is a patient. We don't always think of them that way in a tax-based healthcare system like we have here in Canada. It's kind of a different way. localized medical care for specific issues. Yeah, cancer treatment center. Yeah, no, you're right. Having a treatment center that's there for those people is important. And cancer is just one of a gazillion things people could have. But you're right, having something there that treats people. But then, when it comes to oncology, even there, you need specialized treatment. There, and one oncologist might have a great deal of specific experience and knowledge about thing A, whatever that might be, right? I'm not sure what that is. But then you're going to have, a surgeon who's really, really good at a cancer that affects the respiratory system, and another one who's like really, really like focused in on cancers that affect the reproductive system, right? It's not available in weight loss. Yeah, no, and that's right, Carrie. Yeah, no, so it exists to a point. But one of the things that we're fighting is this is a constant thing, and I don't want to. I'll probably sound like I'm all over the place here. But I'm just trying to follow your line of thinking and reasoning. But yeah, one of the things that we've noticed is that people living with obesity, people that are overweight, are treated as less than in a lot of ways, but they're also like that bias exists in their own minds. So they come in blaming themselves for the disease that they have, for the metabolic derangement that they suffer with. And the doctors, nurses, other therapists and stuff that deal with them also blame them. There's not a lot of understanding that what they've come in with is a complex disease with comorbidities and all sorts of things like that happening, right? Yeah, no, that's a good point too. Pediatrics. Yeah, I'll come back to that in just a second here. But yeah, I know we like there are bariatric medicine systems um, that we have here, and I believe they exist in the States. And in the States with privatized medicine, you could probably if you had enough money, you could just buy your way into something immediately. Here there's a bit of a wait for it, and I've been through my own personal experience, and I probably will elaborate on that at some point. And I might do a couple of like dedicated videos where like I pre-record a video so that I don't go off on tangerines and whatnot like I usually do here. But I think what my experience has taught me is that the Canadian medical system, and I think the American to a point, definitely a problem in Europe, although they're starting to get a little bit more of a handle on this, is that they don't look at the patient as the client and as a project. So the patient comes in with problem A. So like I go in, I'll use myself as an example, not because I necessarily have all these problems, but I got lots of them. But I'll say a couple just as an example. So I go in with high blood pressure, and they're like, "Oh, you have high blood pressure," and they're like, "Okay, well, we got to check out your liver and your kidney, and we got to check out your heart, and we got to check this and that." So they run a panel of different tests on you, and they find out, okay, you know what, you've got some potential kidney damage coming. We got to like get your blood pressure under control. We got to get your cholesterol under control, send you back to your family doctor. But you come in initially with like, you're not feeling well, right? And they cure in quotation marks, an acute problem. And then they give you medication to deal with that. This couple of things they found. And they're like, oh, well, you should probably drop 50 pounds before you come back, but you're good, right? Take these pills and you're good. Medical issues unresolved. The only answer is lose weight, but that's part of the unresolved. Yeah, it's such a nightmare. Yeah, no, these are good points, Carrie. So Carrie, you're touching on things that I've definitely seen. So I read an article that a friend of mine sent me, and I liked what they said, and it was a pretty long one. There's a lot involved there, and I've shared it with a couple of people I know, and including a young woman who works in the same sphere as a career where I work just as a volunteer, but still she's not just knowledgeable, but also very passionate, not just like passionate about her own career, even though it's how she makes her living. She's also she has a passion of a volunteer too, and she also has lived experience as a patient. And I don't want to dox her or share too much of her story, but just she's the person with whom I shared this article, and we talked about it a little bit, and she's in the healthcare sphere, so it really it really it really came home to my mind when talking to her that this is a real problem, is that the people that see you at that test and that appointment, they solve that one problem, send you away, and they never think about you again. And yeah, and you're sharing some parts of your story here, Carrie. I'll come to in a second. I'm just gonna try to finish this thought about this, and I'll try to find this article and actually, like, I don't want to rip it apart, but I might sort of present it as something for people to think about in another stream I do. Maybe get people to think about it as well. And I'd love to get people on to talk about what's in here. But they said, if you take the patient and follow them through, not just from this acute situation they have, you take them, you put them on the exam table, you find out what's wrong with them, you patch them up, you give them some medicine to solve a problem. They go away and they don't have the symptom anymore because that figures that out. Okay. I see you talking about some different food issues, and those are important. But so what they found is that if they tried a system where they actually looked at people way more holistically than just that problem. Like, so it's not just cholesterol and high blood pressure. Sure, people have that, but you look at the whole thing, right? You got the person gets seen and treated not just for that. They don't just get one surgery. They don't get just one prescription. They don't just get one thing looked at. A team of people look at the patient and go through the whole gamut of things, and maybe they need a surgery. Maybe that's what their problem is. They have an operation because they have an acute problem that needs that, but they then also make sure that they provide a they provide like a holistic look at everything. They provide them with the prescriptions, but they actually give real treatment over the course of 2 or 3 or 4 years. And they follow up with the patient, and they make sure that patient is followed through from start to finish. And if something goes wrong, they find if they need massage therapy, they need physiotherapy, it's provided, it's funded, and they get them everything they need to fully recover and get right back at it. And then what they find is that they end up in this was done in a society with publicly funded healthcare. So like a society like Canada, but it wasn't Canada. I think it was in Europe where they first tried this, but a place where it's not privately funded, it's publicly funded. So they said, you know what? At the end of doing this for a large number of patients, for a big cohort, the cost of providing care to those patients was lower, and a vast majority of those patients were still working and paying taxes and paying into the system that they were relying on. And that was a really interesting thing to see. And that's the kind of thinking we need to get, is like project based, like get the actual patient to the end of their project, which is not done in a couple of months. It's a years-long project to get them back to full health, and that pays off. And that's something I really like to see. Now I'm gonna Carrie, you're sharing all this stuff here, and I've read through it, but I'm gonna read through it again. So you had low calorie intake, high physical. What did I do? I don't know. I think I left my whole thing, but maybe I was still here the whole time. All right. Let me know if I'm still there. The center of help is seeing through the end. Yes. Okay. So, all right, here we go. I'm back. Okay. Yeah. Sorry about that. Okay. And I kept all the messages, which is good. So at the age of, I assume you mean at the age of 15, you're 230. Large structured person, never lost weight, only gained consistently until recently. Okay. trying to pinpoint like a food that causes you problems, and you've discovered MSG is causing you issues. Yeah, MSG does cause people a lot of swelling, and it's a naturally occurring chemical in some foods, but it's added to others to add taste. So no diabetes, no high blood pressure, no high cholesterol, because I think those are what I was talking about. And you're in, steady for years on the sugars without, I'm assuming without a medical intervention like a prescription or injection or anything. Yeah, your blood work looks healthy. Yeah, and no, you're right. No, having a place to manage bariatric medicine. And you didn't say your height, and you don't have to share it. But like I'm kind of hoping to get down to 230 because I'm a lot more than that right now, and I don't think I'll get below that. Honestly, at 220, I'd be maybe 225. I'd be 0% body fat because I still have a lot of muscle in my body, despite the fact that I've got way too much body fat. Oh, I'm the same height. So I'm the same height, and I weigh like 345. But I used to be a little taller before my back started curving and stuff, but not much, maybe an inch and a half taller. But I've shrunk. My spine has compacted down and curved at the same time. It hasn't been good. But at 405 pounds at my highest, it was really difficult to just get around. When I was in my early 20s, I was probably also at 230. Yeah, 450 is a really difficult. Yeah, anything over 400 makes it really, really difficult to move, right? So yeah, so you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, so you're up and now you're down. Yeah, so Carrie, you really understand how difficult this is. Better than most, right? Like when I was 405 pounds, I could barely move. Getting out of a chair was a major chore, and still is. It's a lot of work, but it's not near as bad as it was. And and a lot of people would probably look at those numbers and say, okay, well, like obviously you have these other comorbidities. But that's not true. It's not true. So like a lot of people say, well, like you must have this. No, not necessarily. Having a certain BMI doesn't make you have any or all comorbidities, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're living in perfect health either. So I mean, these are the things that I think people struggle with, because I've literally heard people say they want to bully us, right? Yeah, you're working 10 years ago, walking 8 miles a day, low calorie diet, and gained 30 pounds. Yeah, no, it's metabolic derangement, metabolic syndrome, the things that go on with people's bodies, the combination of the genetic component, there is an intake and an output component as well, but it can be so easily derailed by types of foods, allergic reactions, genetic predisposition to holding on to adipose tissue. Yeah, and yeah, I know you mentioned thyroid tests there. I'm not putting everything up here. I don't even know if you really want me to, but here, I'm going to put this up here. Thyroid test, fine, because this is like a lot of people say, well, it must be your thyroid. You should have that tested. I've had my thyroid tested. That's apparently not my problem. In telling anyone what my problem might be or what's been successful for me up to now is whatever it is, but it's not going to solve anyone else's problem necessarily. Because I've lost the weight I did by going on a full keto diet, and then I kind of slipped off of it, but I've been able to maintain. But I've also been getting medical intervention with Ozempic injections to help keep my sugars in check, right? Allergies exist, not too specific with my reactions. Yeah, so Carrie, this is the problem with dietary allergies often, is that they have to be done on a add and replace basis, right? So, and they take a long time. So it could take literally years if you can't pinpoint it, because you have to eat something very, very bland, or eat almost nothing, and then introduce something and see what happens, right? and I've had, since I've been taking the panel of medications that I take, I've had all sorts of digestive issues that haven't been helpful, and they're all over the map. And yeah, allergies to food can cause all sorts of things going on, and not all of the excess weight that people have is excess adipose tissue. A lot of people don't understand that either, that sometimes when they see someone who is very large, that they're seeing a swollen person, not um I'm going to get you to clarify this statement in a second. Let's see if I can finish my thought here. But yeah, so when I look at where I sit as a person living with obesity, and I think about what I've been through, I know that I've experienced situations where I've just swollen up with like water retention. And I know that a lot of people that are in a female body are experiencing water retention as a result of like a menstrual cycle. And I'm not trying to categorize people by sex or gender here. And if my wording is lacking in precision, I apologize for that. It's not from a lack of respect. Yeah, you're strong as fuck. Well, when you're moving around that kind of weight, just to move around, you're going to be strong as fuck, right? I mean, unless you're like totally bedridden, and some people are, and no disrespect intended if you are in any way, shape, or form, or not just you but anyone, it's a really tough position to be in, and I've been so close to it. This is something really, really hard to deal with, and the tip over point for one person over another can be really widely varied. And so, as they say, with many cases of, you deal with a person of one type or another, and you say, like, so you met one person that's like that, right? Like, you're going to find similarities. Like, there's no question, if we sat down, we'd be able to tell some similar tales. And I've definitely done that in my conversations with some of the wonderful people I've met, um, working what I've been doing outside of my career. Um, and the the stuff that people have told me has been heart wrenching, but also so encouraging and inspiring too. So you youth doing volleyball, softball, track, basketball, biking, swimming. Yeah. So, I was athletic as a young man, and I working in construction. I was athletic too, to a point. And I also did a lot of physical work just in my day to day life, and I really enjoyed weightlifting and stuff until I ripped my arm apart. So yeah, I get it. Like, I think that's also like this assumption that living with obesity is something born of apathy. It's born of it's so many things, but apathy gets brought up, as does, it really bothers me, but apathy is something they keep saying. Playing soccer with kids in my mid 30s. Yeah. Yeah, and you know what, Carrie, I in my mid 30s was when I started to really start gaining weight, a lot. Um, because yeah, it was about 10 years ago when I first started to see a major jump up. Um, and I've been up and down, but I think if you looked at the chart, you'd see a slow, steady climb up, a short couple of drops down, and I'm higher than I was when I started, but I'm lower than I was at the peak. But it's really hard for me to move. I move slower than a lot of people. I move faster than people expect me to, but slower than I could. And here you are. Yeah. So there you are. You've carried your trajectory. Yeah. So 13 years ago, and you've been up and down, but you stayed in the same spot here. Oh, I think my wife is calling me. Yes, my wife is telling me that I need to end my stream because I'm going too late here. So I will wrap it up in just a minute or two here. So this is good. All right. Yeah, I'm keeping them all awake, even though I'm trying to be really, really quiet. So yeah. So Carrie, I really appreciate you sharing what you're dealing with. And yeah, I will. I'll say hi to her and or howdy. Yeah, we don't say howdy too much around here, but I'm sure she'd enjoy that. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna wish everyone a great evening. Anyone that's watching this again in the future, thanks for coming to my 20 sub stream. And yeah, you know what? It all helps me because anything that gives me ideas about what people say and what their experiences are helps me tremendously because it helps me understand how common this is. But no matter how common it is, doesn't mean it doesn't need to be treated as a disease because it absolutely is one. And it doesn't mean that we should ignore research on the medical side, but it doesn't mean that we need to be ignored as patients either. We are not just statistics, we're real people. And we live real lives, and we're not to be thrown away. We're not to be disrespected and cast aside. And when religious doctrines call our what they say gluttony as a sin, well, gluttony doesn't necessarily lead to this, but yet we're they hang that albatross around our neck anyway, and I don't want it. And yes, research for metabolic function. Yeah, no, there's going to be a whole lot more of that, and there's lots coming, and that's a great thing, Carrie. And we'll have more conversations in the future. So I want to thank you so much, everyone, for coming. And I know not too many people here right in the moment, but I can't wait to see if anybody comments later. Carrie, really enjoyed the conversation with you, and if you're ever in the mood to actually be on the mic, we'll have you up here to chat, and hopefully I'll be doing some more of this soon. All right, thanks everyone. Have a great night. I'll put this one up here. Yeah, we need way more research, but we are getting there. And good night. Thank you, everyone.